Verses 20 to 31. Providence wonderfully favored his escape, when he had done the execution. First, the tyrant fell silently, without any shriek or outcry, which might have been overheard by his servants at a distance. How silently does he go down to the pit, choked up, it may be, with his own fat, which stifled his dying groans, though he had made so great a noise in the world, and had been the terror of the mighty in the land of the living. Secondly, the heroic executioner of this vengeance, with such a presence of mind as discovered not only no consciousness of guilt, but a strong confidence in the divine protection, shut the doors after him, took the key with him, and passed through the guards with such an air of innocence and boldness and unconcernedness, as made them not at all to suspect his having done anything amiss. Thirdly, the servants that attended in the antechamber, coming to the door of the inner parlor, when Ehud had gone, to know their master's pleasure, and finding it locked and all quiet, concluded he had lain down to sleep, had covered his feet upon his couch, and gone to consult his pillow about the message he had received, and to dream upon it, v24, and therefore would not offer to open the door. Thus by their care not to disturb his sleep they lost the opportunity of revenging his death. See what comes of men's taking state too much, and obliging those about them to keep their distance, some time or other it may come against them more than they think of. Fourthly, the servants at length opened the door, and found their master had slept indeed his long sleep, v25. The horror of this tragical spectacle, and the confusion it must needs put them into, to reflect upon their own inconsideration in not opening the door sooner, quite put by the thoughts of sending pursuers after him that had done it, whom now they despaired of overtaking. Lastly, Ehud by this means made his escape to Seirath, a thick wood, so some, it is not said anywhere in this story what was the place in which Eglon lived now, but, there being no mention of Ehud passing and repassing Jordan, I am inclined to think that Eglon had left his own country of Moab, on the other side Jordan, and made his principal residence at this time in the city of palm trees, within the land of Canaan, a richer country than his own, and that there he was slain, and then the quarries by Gilgal were not far off him. There where he had settled himself, and thought he had sufficiently fortified himself to lord it over the people of God, there he was cut off, and proved to be fed for the slaughter like a lamb in a large place. Ehud, having slain the king of Moab, gave a total rout to the forces of the Moabites that were among them, and so effectually shook off the yoke of their oppression. He raised an army immediately in Mount Ephraim, at some distance from the headquarters of the Moabites, and headed them himself, v27. The trumpet he blew was indeed a jubilee trumpet, proclaiming liberty, and a joyful sound it was to the oppressed Israelites, who for a long time had heard no other trumpets than those of their enemies. Like a pious man, and as one that did all this in faith, he took encouragement himself, and gave encouragement to his soldiers, from the power of God engaged for them, v28. Follow me, for the Lord hath delivered your enemies into your hands, we are sure to have God with us, and therefore may go on boldly, and shall go on triumphantly. Like a politic general, he first secured the fords of Jordan, set strong guards upon all those passes, to cut off the communications between the Moabites that were in the land of Israel, for upon them only his design was, and their own country on the other side Jordan, that if, upon the alarm given them, they resolved to fly, they might not escape thither, and, if they resolved to fight, they might not have assistance thence. Thus he shut them up in that land as their prison in which they were pleasing themselves as their palace and paradise. He then fell upon them, and put them all to the sword, 10,000 of them, which it seems was the number appointed to keep Israel in subjection, v29. There escaped not a man of them. And they were the best and choicest of all the king of Moab's forces, all lusty men, men of bulk and stature, and not only able-bodied, but high-spirited too, and men of valor, v29. But neither their strength nor their courage stood them in any stead when the set time had come for God to deliver them into the hand of Israel. The consequence of this victory was that the power of the Moabites was wholly broken in the land of Israel. The country was cleared of these oppressors, and the land had rest 80 years, v30. We may hope that there was likewise a reformation among them, and a check give to idolatry, by the influence of Ehud, which continued a good part of this time. It was a great while for the land to rest, 80 years, yet what is that to the saints' everlasting rest in the heavenly Canaan? When it is said the land had rest 80 years, some think it meant chiefly of that part of the land which lay eastward on the banks of Jordan, which had been oppressed by the Moabites, but it seems, by this passage here, that the other side of the country which lay southwest was in that time infested by the Philistines, against whom Shamgar made head. It seems Israel needed deliverance, for he delivered Israel. How great the distress was, Deborah afterwards related in her song, ch 5:6, that in the days of Shamgar the highways were unoccupied, etc., that part of the country which lay next to the Philistines was so infested with plunderers that people could not travel the roads in safety, but were in danger of being set upon and robbed, nor durst they dwell in the unguarded villages, but were forced to take shelter in the fortified cities. God raised him up to deliver them, as it should seem, while Ehud was yet living, but superannuated. So inconsiderable were the enemies for number that it seems the killing of 600 of them amounted to a deliverance of Israel, and so many he slew with an ox goad, or, as some read it, a plowshare. It is probable that he was himself following the plow when the Philistines made an inroad upon the country to ravage it, and God put it into his heart to oppose them, the impulse being sudden and strong, and having neither sword nor spear to do execution with, he took the instrument that was next at hand, some of the tools of his plow, and with that killed so many 100 men and came off unhurt. That God can make those eminently serviceable to his glory and his churches good whose extraction, education, and employment are very mean and obscure. He that has the residue of the Spirit could, when he pleased, make ploughmen judges and generals, and fishermen apostles. It is no matter how weak the weapon is if God direct and strengthen the arm. An ox goad, when God pleases, shall do more than Goliath's sword. And sometimes he chooses to work by such unlikely means, that the excellency of the power may appear to be of God.